my hitting area, I could hit it, not a problem. But the problem was the jump start to get off, to run to the ball. I tried to ride a bicycle, because I used to be able to ride a bicycle, but my core and abdominals and the balance skills were not that developed, so I said, look, you don't need another fracture, you don't need to read the bike, so the bike is on the wall. But it all has to do with muscle control and strength. As your recovery gets better and you get stronger and you're working with a trainer, that has made a big difference, because now when I run, I can do 4 miles or 6 miles around Prospect Park. I will just talk a little bit about rehab, because you know this is where that is supposedly what I do. I set myself short-term goals. I needed to be able to get to the gym, to swim. So to get stronger, I walked around and up and down the stairs and around the block until I got to a little bit further. Then I now set further longer-term goals, which is a rehab thing. You have to do the activity, relatively speaking, repetitively. You can, however, take some rest periods. It's a sports training technique. You do your sport activity, you rest, recover, then you go again. The thing for me was not to get frustrated, but because of the change in function, of course, it was a frustrating thing. But I realized that as I have worked with it, I have gotten stronger and gotten better. So as not to be bored with the rehab program, you try to vary the activity. Avoid stressful things and stressful persons. The other thing that I was able to do was, initially, this is how I got hooked up with Mount Sinai. When I was depressed and couldn't figure out what to do, I called the social work department at the hospital, and they referred me to various outpatient departments. And I found a women's support group. So I was able to go at Mount Sinai to speak with the women's support group. That was, I don't know if it was a good or a bad thing. Guess what? They got me involved with doing a research project about head injury and aging. They had me present for them in Washington, and I now go once a month to the traumatic brain injury unit. They present a case to me, no names closed because of the whole privacy issue in the States, and I give the patient's perspective as to how I think and how they need to approach the work with this particular individual. Thank you. I can answer any questions you want, because I cut it short to be in the 15 minutes.
We are running very late on time. One question from the mic, one question from Bruce. Bruce, you have your time later, so that's when you'll talk, but one question from the mic, one question from Bruce, 10 seconds each.
Okay, I want a lot of folks who didn't back to visit Kathleen in the hospital. As you realize, it's a big deal with professional football players in the United States.
I know.
I was wondering, why is it such a big deal for them and for boxers, who the whole point of the sport is to get hit in the head repeatedly? It's not such a problem.
Yeah, that is a big problem, because you know this chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and they have presented the slides where when they stay in the slides it looks different. It is a major problem. Now the NFL has just had, National Football League has just had to pay, they put aside $17 million to individuals but it's a big problem, because basically it's a workers' comp injury. And so it's going to, we haven't heard the last of it, and it's going to be big bucks, and in fact, you'll probably find the American national sport, apart from baseball, is going to decline, because the parents are going to start not letting their young children play football, American football.
Kathleen, we go back a long time. And I'm not sure you'll be here when I do my talk, but I think you're going to be.
No, I'm going to stay.
Oh, well, I just want to say, Kathleen went through an experience of going from 90% down to 50. As an endurance athlete, and I went from 96% down to about 5% down overnight, and ended up with a psychiatric diagnosis. And I'll talk about that later, why that diagnosis should not be made. But I understand what you went through.
Because the problem is that you have to go through a depression. It is a realistic depression.